Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to season 10. That's right, season 10, episode 1, overall 496 of Live with CDP Sports at Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac products as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Pomay sent you, or you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and I've been a proud customer of Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph for the last 25 years, and Barry Cullen Chevrolet has been one of my major sponsors the last 2.5 years as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is also brought to you by Wellington Brewery at 950 Woodlawn Road, not far from Barry Cullen Chevrolet, 950 Woodlawn Road West in Guelph, Ontario. Check out their website, wellingtonbrewery.ca. Try a Welly on, and please remember to drink responsibly. Wellington Brewery is celebrating their 40th year as one of Canada's oldest local craft breweries, and they're proudly Canadian as well. I hope everyone's doing well on this chilly Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I hope everybody had a great family day weekend. I did. I was spending most of my time shoveling snow. I've done more shoveling snow than I have in the last 10 years. It's been a traditional Canadian winter here, and I'm just glad to be back on today, and I'm looking forward to my guest. He's a friend of mine, and he's a longtime play-by-play voice of the Toronto Argonauts on TSN 1050, and he's also the manager of communications for the Toronto Argonauts. His name is Mike Hogan, and we're going to talk some Argonaut football with Mike and a little bit about the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Good afternoon, Mike. How you doing?
How are you, Chris? Happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I love doing this show, and I've been really lucky to get a lot of great guests on.
You do it well. I remember you when you just started, so I'm very proud of you and happy for your work, for the way you've succeeded in this.
Well, thank you so much, and I want to say thank you to the Argonauts for giving me media opportunities, because obviously I didn't go to school for this, but I've been getting hands-on training with doing some media coverage for the Argos, the Bisons, the Bandits, and the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, and the National Football League as well.
Nice.
And by the way, I'm kicking myself. Last year when I was at the NFL draft in Detroit, I met Jaden Daniels, and I forgot to get a selfie with him. And I ran into one of the Eagles' flying cornerbacks, Quinyon Mitchell, who was drafted out of Toledo, and that worked out really well for the Birds.
Yeah, he's dynamite. I remember going back to all of the mock drafts from last year, and, I do some of the mock simulators trying to figure out what the Eagles might have fall to them. And I don't think Quinyon Mitchell ever dropped that low in the draft to 23 or whatever the pick was, 25. But it was astonishing he was still there. And I think maybe the people that were most surprised he was there were Quinyon Mitchell and the Eagles. So it worked out well, and it's been a happy marriage so far.
And Cooper DeJean as well. Just to have two rookies starting in the secondary in the National Football League or even in the Canadian Football League is unheard of, because that's not an easy position to come into from college football to the pro football ranks.
Yeah, he was one of the guys, like when in doing those mocks, you look at cornerbacks because it was an obvious need for the Eagles last year. And DeJean was one of the guys that I kept, I don't know how many times I took him in the mock draft in the simulation. It would be him or like Kool-Aid McKinstry or somebody like that would fall down to that mid-20s pick. And the fact that they got both guys, one right off the bat to play corner and one to play slot corner, was just a godsend. And both were so good this year. And DeJean's become a cult hero almost in Philly.
Absolutely. And I see so many similarities between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Toronto Argonauts, and it starts with ownership, starts with the GM, the scouting department, and also the head coaches. I see similarities between Nick Sirianni and Ryan Dinwiddie as well.
Well, they're old school football type A guys who wear their emotions on their sleeves. And They're both offensive guys, and they both have succeeded in what they've done since they took over their team. So, Ryan, in the 4 years that he's been the Argo head coach, has a Grey Cup and 3 Eastern regular season titles, 2 Eastern titles, and a couple of Grey Cups. So he's just been phenomenal. And Sirianni, people wanted to fire him at the beginning of the season when the Eagles were out to a 2-2 start. But he's been fantastic, and 2 trips to the Super Bowl in 3 years is pretty remarkable.
I have to admit, I was one of the critics earlier in the year when they were off to a kind of a 2-2 start. Maybe he wasn't the guy for this franchise, but he likes proving people wrong, and the guys really love playing for him, and he knows how to communicate with his guys. And I hope the Eagles sign him to a long-term contract, because right now I would say he's already one of the greatest coaches in Eagles history, even after 4 years.
Well, you get to the Cup twice. He's the only guy to do that, right?
Yep.
Who else was there? Vermeil was there, and
Vermeil, Andy
Reid,
Reid, and Peterson.
Yeah, and Peterson. So I mean, 4 coaches for 5 trips. So he's the first one to do it. So yeah, I'm sure he's going to be rewarded nicely by Jeff Lurie.
Does this Super Bowl win silence the critics of Jalen Hurts? Because I keep hearing he's not Josh Allen, he's not Joe Burrow, he's not Lamar Jackson, but all he does is win football games. And he also showed in the Super Bowl he can outplay Mahomes twice in a Super Bowl, and their passing game was very effective against Kansas City.
If he's not Josh Allen, he doesn't have to be. I mean, he's smart. Sometimes he hangs onto the ball too long, which I think it drives most people insane. If there's a fault in Jalen Hurts, I think most of the criticism comes from he doesn't have that outgoing personality that I think a lot of people want in their quarterbacks, and he's just a very quiet guy who doesn't want to talk. And when he does talk, you listen, because he doesn't say all that much in terms of he's very brief in his comments. He's very direct and to the point. But if you listen, you're going to find out something. It's funny because I used to be on a show called Countdown U on TSN, and we used to the show still goes on, but I mean, it focuses on U Sports football and Canadians playing in the NCAA. And I used to watch a lot of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, because Neville Gallimore was at Oklahoma, and Chuba Hubbard and Amen Ogbongbemega were at Oklahoma State. And every time I watch Oklahoma play, I go, that Hurts is fun. Never dreaming he would be a great NFL quarterback, let alone a Super Bowl champion and MVP. I just thought he was a fun guy to watch after his stint, or whatever you want to call it, at Alabama. Never dreaming, and I was shocked when the Eagles took him as high as they did in the draft. And I think I was like everybody else, why are they taking another quarterback? Carson Wentz is still here. And I think we found out why. And he's grown into the leadership role. The guys respect him like crazy. And I was thrilled that he played as well as he did in the Super Bowl. And maybe, just maybe, that'll silence, at least temporarily, the critics that he has.
To me, Jalen Hurts' biggest strength as a quarterback is his confidence, but he's calm. He doesn't seem to get rattled or panic. And this year, he only threw I think for the entire year, 5 interceptions, 6 interceptions. So he's really improved on his not turning the ball over. And other than the one fumble, I think with it, the one interception against Kansas City, that was his only turnover in the playoffs, was the one pick to Brian Cook of the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59.
Yeah, and I apologize for my dog Jack going nuts. Whenever there's a camera on or I'm doing an interview on the phone, Jack wants his time. So Jack, maybe that'll do it. But he's a camera hog. Yeah, and you talk about Hurts's personality, and if you want to make another Argo comparison, he's Ricky Ray, right? I mean, when you watch Ricky Ray play, when you watch Jalen Hurts play, and I don't mean in style, because they're totally different style quarterbacks, but both are quiet leaders. And if you watched a game and just watched their body language, you wouldn't know if they were up by 5 touchdowns or down by 5 touchdowns. They have that calm demeanor. It's like, okay, that series is over. What's next? And that's another similarity. And I don't know why people don't like that, or people, they're just haters on Twitter. And the last thing that most people want to say on Twitter is, I was wrong. So they continue to push the narrative forward, waiting for any hole to open. So that's just social media.
Why can't we just enjoy these guys for who they are? Like, enough with the GOAT talk, just enjoy them, how great they are and how special they are. It's just these comparisons are ridiculous. And Jalen Hurts is really nothing to prove to anyone. And Mike, I wanted to ask you this too before you enter the Argos. How good a general manager and a talent evaluator is Howie Roseman? And all the time you've been Eagles fan and covering pro football.
I think you can very easily make the argument that this year was the greatest season a general manager has had in any sport, let alone the NFL, let alone the CFL, let alone football, whatever, let alone the Eagles. Everything he touched turned to gold. The draft, trading up in the draft, getting the guy, having the guys fall to him that did. The guys that he picked up in later rounds that made contributions like Hunt and Shipley and guys like that, signing Saquon Barkley. And adding in guys like Zach Bond and, a guy who was an afterthought in New Orleans comes to Philadelphia and becomes one of the 5 finalists for most outstanding defensive player. Nobody saw that coming. Hiring Vic Fangio, hiring Kellen Moore, everything that he touched or had his hands on turned into gold this year. And in terms of not everything, they made one signing from the Jets at defensive end that didn't quite work out. But his batting average this year was just stupidly good.
Do you feel this team with their core will have a good chance of running back and getting back to another Super Bowl next year compared to the 17 team?
No question. The offense is back, right? Mekhi Becton at left guard or right guard is the only free agent on offense that is a difference maker. Kenneth Gainwell is a free agent as well, but the core is back. Defensively, they got some work to do with Sweat and Williams, and they've got a couple of guys in Bond that I just mentioned. They've got some work to do there, but they actually, believe it or not, have cap space. And, if they buy out the last year of James Bradwell's contract, they'll get some stuff there. They let some of the other guys go. I would be surprised if Sweat is back, but I may be wrong there. I don't know what the priority is. I don't know how much they're willing to pay a linebacker. But Zach Bond, kind of bucked the trend and really became a strength for the Eagles, where over the last 5 to 10 years, linebacker has been a weakness. So I'm curious to see what they do, but there's zero question, even with the roster they have going forward, that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender again.
Absolutely. And Saquon Barkley, is he the greatest free agent signing in Philadelphia Eagles history, and maybe even in the city of Philadelphia sports?
I won't go that far because I'd have to go back and take a look at how different players got to the different Philadelphia franchises. Top of my head, the guys that they got that were the elite players in franchise history, they usually got through the draft. Reggie White, Jerome Brown come to mind right off the get-go. Randall Cunningham, Donovan McNabb, Jalen Hurts at quarterback all came through the draft. Free agency. For 1 year, Terrell Owens was spectacular. For the second year, he wasn't. But I think for 1 year, Saquon Barkley obviously had the best year a running back has ever had in the NFL, with over 2,000 yards in the regular season, the most yards when you count postseason of any running back in NFL history. And to cap it off with the Super Bowl, offensive player of the year in the NFL. He was better than advertised, and I think everybody expected him to be great.
Wanted to get your thoughts on this. I know the NFL's gotten away from the MVP going to a running back, but I feel Saquon Barkley should have been the most valuable player as well this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, it goes. It's now the most valuable quarterback for all intents and purposes. What I'm interested to see, and if Barkley wasn't able to flip that narrative, and even though he was the most outstanding offensive player in the league, it wasn't Allen or Burrow or anybody else they were talking about. Or Lamar. It was Barkley. And I'm interested to see how this trickles down now in terms of free agency. Saquon got paid when running backs don't get paid. So I'm curious to see what the market now holds. There's not another Saquon Barkley out there this year in free agency, but I'm pretty sure teams are now going to be, when they get an opportunity to pay an elite running back, should one come on the market, they're going to start getting paid a little bit more, as opposed to the trend we've seen over the last 20 years.
And last Eagles question for you. Thoughts on the ownership of Jeffrey Lurie, who bought the team back in 1994, and how successful this franchise has been in his 30 years in Philadelphia?
He spends. I mean, the one thing that you keep hearing from players when they go to Philadelphia is how they're treated. The facility is spectacular. The fan base is incredible. You go to a game in Philly, it's loud from the get-go, and if you perform, they love you. If you don't, you'll hear it. But the fans, and the entire situation and the way that Lurie has cultivated the culture in that team is probably the envy of 31 other teams.
Absolutely. I get some viewers watching. Fear the Conspiracy says the football on Mike's background was a great gift to the season ticket holders, and that was true. Now I need to get my football from last year updated with a 19th Grey Cup win.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the one thing that our folks do in ticketing and marketing is they look after season ticket holders, whether it be with that football or the championship ring replicas, or just the options that fans have. I think we look after our fans better than any team in the league, and that's a hill I will die on.
And this will be my 3rd year as an Argonaut season ticket holder, and I was glad to renew.
Hey, you've been doing all right, aside from that Eastern final a year ago. 2 years and 2 Grey Cup wins. Keep buying, buddy.
I never thought, Mike, growing up as an Argo fan back in the 70s and early 80s, I would see this team win 8 Grey Cups in 40 years. And in the 40 years they've won the 8 Grey Cups, only their longest drought was 8 years. After 83, they didn't win until 91, and then 04, 12. So how can you complain as a Toronto Argonaut season ticket holder or as a fan of the team about the success of this franchise in the last 41, 42 years?
Do you want a really weird stat to tie the Eagles and Argos together a little bit more?
I think I know where you're going. Go ahead.
The last 4 Eagle Super Bowl appearances were in 2004, in 2024, in 2012, and in 2017. Or sorry, 22, 17, 24, and 4. And the Argos won the Grey Cup all 4 of those years. That's weird.
That's good. Hey, that's great. And you know what? And it's not easy winning a Grey Cup championship either. I tell people Winnipeg's had a 29-year drought, Hamilton's on a 25-year drought, and the Argos had a 31-year drought. So you know what? I appreciate any championships the Argos win, or even the Eagles. I never thought the Eagles in my lifetime would win 2 Super Bowls in 7 years, and I think, to me, the 2024 Eagles team is the best ever. And as for this Argo team, they faced a lot of adversity last year, with Chad Kelly being out until August, and then having to go with Arbuckle and Dukes, and then losing Kelly in the East Final. And this 19th Grey Cup was really special, Mike, in my opinion.
With no disrespect to any other coach in the league, Ryan Dinwiddie was the coach of the year in the CFL last year. For what he had to do to take a backup quarterback, essentially, and 2 backups, and get them through the first 9 games of the season, and to take that team, not win the Eastern Division, but win the Eastern Division in the playoffs, and then win a Grey Cup. I thought what Ryan Dinwiddie did with this team this year was just incredible. So with no disrespect to anybody else, I'll take our guy. And there's some really outstanding coaches in the league, but the job that RD did this year was top shelf.
What is Ryan Dinwiddie's biggest strengths as the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts?
Attention to detail, passion, which rubs off. And he earns the respect of the room. Like, he doesn't say, I'm the coach, listen to me. He and Pinball have cultivated, in the 4 years that they've been together, have cultivated a sort of a culture of winning. And when guys come here, they buy in. And Ryan wears his heart on his sleeve. You may see it every once in a while in the videos that the Argos do behind the scenes, but Ryan's a pretty emotional guy. And, he's brought to the edge of tears, if not to tears, more often than you would think. And I think that helps him even more, because the players know how damn passionate he is about winning, and they follow suit. And he's really good at his job. His play calling is outstanding. And he's a great teacher as well, and the quarterbacks have all benefited from that. When Chad got hurt in the Eastern Final. There wasn't a person that doubted Nick one iota when Arbuckle got the call. And part of that, he was so prepared. I mean, when he went in the last game of the regular season in Edmonton, he threw in the 3 quarters that he was in there after Cam Dukes got hurt. He threw for well over 300 yards in 3 quarters. Prorated, it was over 500 yards. And when he came in and made some really key throws in the Eastern Final after Chad broke his leg, everybody went, okay, we're good. Nick's the guy. He's confident. He knows the offense inside and out. Asked all the right questions apparently all week. And everybody, when the hay was in the barn on Saturday night, nobody didn't think we were going to win on Sunday.
To me, Nick Arbuckle reminds me a little bit about the guy in Philadelphia who helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl in 2017 when Carson Wentz went down, Nick Foles.
Yeah, different styles, but Nick Foles went nuts in the Super Bowl and the time leading up. Carson Wentz was probably going to be the MVP of the league, but then he hurt his leg. He was gone for the year. Foles went in the storybook ending and outscoring Tom Brady in the Super Bowl as the teams both put up 30 plus. And Arbuckle wasn't that spectacular in the Grey Cup, but he didn't have to be. The defense did great. The special teams did great. And Nick hit guys when they needed to extend drives, get them down into scoring range. They capitalized with the Carey touchdown at the end and with the Mittal touchdown to start midway through roughly the third quarter. It was just a dream for Arbuckle, and everybody was thrilled because he was just the guy, and he was the perfect guy for the perfect time.
I have another viewer. His name's Chris Bird. He's a Toronto Argonauts fan and season ticket holder. He wants to ask you, Mike, any new initiatives for new and existing fans in 2025?
There will be some. I know I was in a meeting today, and they were discussing what to do in terms of gifts. So that's still being discussed, but there will be a gift to season ticket holders. I think to encourage people to come back, check out our ticket prices compared to other teams. Check out, it's an affordable night, a really affordable night, with the $7 beer and $3 hot dog options, and which isn't for everybody, but I mean, the options are there. The entertainment on the field is right now the best in the city. We win championships. We've been serious contenders 4 years in a row and won it twice. It's just a really good era of football. I think our in-game presentation has gotten better and better and better. So those who go to the games feel like a family, like they go to the tailgate, they go to the shipyard, they know each other, they know the people who sit in their season ticket areas, and it becomes a family. So the players respond to how damn loud the fans get. So there will be some initiatives. I know the refer a friend, so to speak. If you bring somebody else in to become a season ticket holder, you're gonna benefit from that in terms of food and beverage. So we have great packages already, and I'm sure that there are in the works right now as a way to make it even better.
And I think too, if you're a new season ticket holder, I believe you get a commemorative football too with all the Argos Grey Cups on it.
I know that they put those out, the sort of not this one, but the updated one, and trying to get people who haven't renewed yet to come back. There was a thank you note attached, and it was, hey, would really love to have you back. There's a renewal target, and it's very high, and they're that close to achieving it. So yeah, we're going in the right direction. Slowly but slowly, we're getting there. And I think you saw it even from the first half of the season to the last half of the season. I think the announced numbers last year for the first 5 games were like 12,600 a game, and then it was over 18,000 in the second half of the season, including the playoff games. So there's a light switch that's clicking in Toronto, and I think more and more people are finding out about Argos football and having fun once they get down there.
I was going to ask you this later, Mike, but thoughts on the 2025 Argonauts schedule and specifically the home schedule at BMO Field this summer?
I love Saturday games. I love Friday night games. And that's all we got. We didn't get stuck with Sunday games or Thursday games or it's fantastic. The Monday game we have is a Labor Day Classic in Hamilton. So yeah, I think this is the best schedule the Argos may have ever had since I moved to Toronto, because you don't have those games that are late on Sunday night for TV. It's fantastic. And I know fans wanted Saturday games. So I think 6 of the 9 are on Saturday and the other 3 are Friday nights. So that's fantastic. We've really done a good job getting our fan base younger. If you go to a game this year, or have you gone to a game last year, and you look around in the stands, you'll see that the average age of an Argo fan has decreased. Where, the diehards who've been going, like you and me, since the 70s and 80s, we're still going, but now you're seeing the 20-somethings go and the teens. And our group sales have really, group sales team has really focused on minor football, high school football, flag football, touch football, all of that stuff. And we're getting people who have an interest in the sport already because they play it, interested in our brand of football, 3-down football, in an era where people are feeling very pro-Canadian because of what's happening in the political world. What's more Canadian than 3-down football? You can't play it anywhere else. I mean, the 2 most Canadian sports, because you can only play it in Canada, are 3-down football and 5-pin bowling. So, come on out, and we invite you to come and wave the flag and celebrate your Canadianness, if that's a word.
And you know how much I love coming down there. And BMO Field is a beautiful location. And I always take the GO train in from Burlington, and it's stress-free. And Mike, as much as I love doing media, I like doing the season ticket holder thing too, because it is a lot of fun and you get to know people. And as much as I love the NFL, and I'm sure you feel the same way too, I find the CFL environment is more family, more of a family environment than in the NFL environments.
I think the best example of that certainly is Grey Cup. If I've been to Grey Cups, I've been to Super Bowl, and the difference between the Grey Cup and the Super Bowl is everything essentially is accessible to fans in Canada, and in the NFL, good luck getting a ticket to anything. Ridiculously priced. Just not available because most of the corporate sponsors are getting stuff and the leftovers are going to the media. So you can go and you can, go to Spirit of Edmonton in a Grey Cup week, or come to the room that's shared by the Argos and Ticats and Red Blacks, and you'll end up drinking with a player or a former player, or being able to sit down and talk with them. And, it's just more fan friendly than the NFL. And as you can tell by the first part of our conversation, I love the NFL, but I just find that you're right. The CFL is a more fan-friendly brand on and off the field. I think the CFL game is much more fun live than the NFL game. The NFL presents TV spectacularly well, but go to a game, I think CFL product's a lot more fun live.
My co-host Nick Small on the Argo Bounce Live audio show. We're coming back for a 3rd year doing the Argos on a weekly basis with Nick. And Nick had 2 quick questions for you, Mike. He wanted me to ask you, what did you and the team do with the Grey Cups, the Grey Cup after beating Winnipeg? And there was another question he wanted me to ask you. Oh, I remember now. What are your thoughts on the London, Ontario border quarterback, Taylor? I can't remember his last name, but he's going to be at the NFL Combine, I believe.
Yeah, he went to the Senior Bowl. We'll start with that one first. Taylor Elgersma, for those who don't know, is a quarterback at Laurier. He won the Heck Crichton this year as the top esports player in the country. He's already been to 3 CFL camps as part of the U Sports Exchange program with the CFL. It's an internship for starting quarterbacks to go to a CFL training camp, sit in on film, go and do reps with pro quarterbacks to improve that position in Canada. Because how long have we talked about, the dearth of quarterbacks in this country who are able to play in the CFL? Well, Taylor spent 2 years with us, and then it was like, just go to Hamilton's camp just so you can learn something different. After listening to Dinwiddie up here and Mike Miller for a couple of years, and interning with McLeod for a year, and then Chad for a year, and now going to Hamilton, and then learning from Scott Milanovic and Bo Levi Mitchell. I mean, for a kid in his position, that's gold, right? So now he goes to the Senior Bowl, plays well, makes the best throw of anybody, and then some of these guys are going to be first-round picks in the NFL. Now there's really good discussion about him being kind of like a Quintez Stiggers, of being a draft pick, of being that sort of hot commodity in the States that people are kind of afraid to miss out on, but they want to get him into a camp. So I'm really interested to see if and when he gets drafted in the NFL. But boy, he's got all of the tools. He's like 6'6", gun for an arm, good touch. I can't wait to see him not only make it in the NFL if that's his desire, but thrive, because he will only be an inspiration, same as Curtis Rourke and Nathan Rourke, for those quarterbacks who are young right now wanting to play professional football. And Trey Ford, don't let me miss Trey.
Mike, in all the time you've been following college football here, the OUAA, how much has the talent level and skills have increased over the decades?
The depth is better. The top end talent is better. This, despite stuff happening that when I started covering youth sports in the 80s, it was unheard of a player to go to the States and play NCAA football. It happened a little bit in basketball, certainly more than it did in football. And now dozens and dozens of players every year are stateside and going to the NFL and being that inspiration for the next level, to go to the NFL, to go to the CFL, to show that if you're a great athlete, you don't have to play hockey in this country. Look at the depth of talent in the NBA right now. Maybe the best player in the league is from Hamilton. Who knew that was a thing? I think it's fantastic where kids have options now, and the fact that the NFL and CFL are viable options for kids who want to continue their football career, I think is fantastic. And youth sports and NCAA have both been major contributors. And I don't want to leave out the high school coaches, because the high school coaching in this country has gotten way better as more resources are made available to them, to junior coaches, to flag coaches. It's just more kids are playing football, and it's proving that the more football reps you can get at an early age, the better chance you have of being a pro athlete.
Absolutely. And Nick wanted to ask you this too, Mike. What did you and the team do with the Grey Cup for the celebration?
It got loud and very wet in the locker room afterwards. Ran out of beer and champagne, put it that way. So somebody made a mistake. But after that, everybody brought friends and family back to the hotel room where we were staying. The ballroom had been laid out. It was fantastic. Everybody was exhausted. Players were exhausted who went back. Others went out and kind of did the town up. But we all went back, and it was a chance to bring our family back and have a drink, or more than a drink. And the food was made available. It was a great spread. And we just sat and talked and hugged and said, "I love you," and just enjoyed the time. We were too tired to really go nuts. Because everybody put every ounce of energy into that week and into that game. And Chris Belenovich, my partner in communications, we had a meeting this year. Our first full meeting came in the new year after we won. And Pinball Clemens went around the room and he asked everybody what their favorite moment was. And Belenovich said exactly what I wanted to say. He said it wasn't so much, a thrill of winning this year compared to 2 years ago. It was more relief, because it was a long year on several counts, and we were so geared up for that game. Winning it was just, oh, okay, now what do we do? Let's go back to the hotel, have a drink, celebrate the night, and get ready to go back to Toronto and have the party in Maple Leaf Square. But it was a relief. This team was so businesslike this year. It was incredible. And I don't think there's a person in the room that didn't doubt that we were going to win the Grey Cup. Didn't doubt at all, under any circumstance, from day one. Okay, we'll see what happens with Chad. He's going to come back. We'll take the next step then. Okay, Chad's out, Nick's in. We didn't win the East. We have to beat Ottawa at home. We'll do that. We got to go into Montreal. It'll be tough. We're fine. And then even with Chad out, Nick's there. We're ready. We're going to do this. It's not if we're going to win. It's how we're going to win. And That's what happened. It played out the way everybody expected. And I don't mean that to sound cocky or arrogant. It was just that's the way everybody approached every day. And maybe that's what Ryan Dinwiddie and Pinball Clemens have instilled in everybody. Just that, okay, if we do our jobs, we have some very good people doing what we do. Our coaching staff, our players, our support staff, our football operations staff, everybody's really good at what we do. And if we all do what we're supposed to do, help out anybody in any way that they're asked, we're going to win this damn thing this year. And that's our attitude going forward into this year too.
Was there one specific game this season, Mike, as the play-by-play announcer and obviously the manager of communications, that you said, you know what, I think this team can get back to a Grey Cup and win it? If there was like one turning point, one game that kind of like, yeah, we're going to do it.
The game in BC. Chad had come out and thrown for a bunch of yards, threw a bunch of picks in the game in Ottawa, and BC was battling for first place in the West. And Stanback had come off 2 great games where he was up. I think he was up around 300 yards, 200 to 300 yards for the 2 games rushing. BC has always been a death trap for the teams from the East with the time change. This was a night game, not a 4:00 in the afternoon game Eastern, so that made it even more difficult. And the Argos went in there, and I think they had 6 sacks and knocked Nathan Rourke out of the game, not physically, but just they needed to change. They knocked him out of the game, and they made the quarterback change to Vernon Adams at halftime, and he didn't do much better. So the fact that they went in there, did what they had to do offensively. Leram had a great game and had 5 or 6 field goals that game. That's okay. They're back. This team's really, 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 really good and starting to peak at the right time. So if there was one game in the regular season, probably the game in BC.
Hey, Mike, do you still have about 5 more minutes for a couple more
Sure.
questions?
Yep, no problem.
Okay, and Chris Bird, who's an Argo friend of mine, season ticket holder, has one more question for you. And Chris wants to know, local media has not been great in covering the Argos, but podcasters and people like Chris, myself, have picked up the slack. What directions are the Argos taking to improve the awareness of the best pro sports team in Toronto?
Well, we're doing it via social media first and foremost. We had, I don't know if they want me sharing these numbers or not, but I'm proud of them and our social media hits. In 2023, I think we had 20 million social media hits.
Wow.
In 2024, we had 95 million social media hits. That's the way of the present. It's not the way of the future. That's the way that you're going to get the word out. We had such a great interest in our team from training camp on in Guelph, where, and this is Aiden Miller, I want to call him our social media manager. He came up with a couple of ideas that really took off. And the one that really seemed to resonate, not only across the country, but internationally, was when he put a bag of milk, I think it was chocolate milk.
I remember.
And a plastic milk container and a pair of scissors on the table and said to the Americans, figure it out. And that thing went crazy. It was insane how many hits that had. I wish I had the number in front of me, but it's that kind of thing. And, we saw some of the mainstream media in Toronto increase their Argo coverage this year, where sometimes it was difficult to get a score mentioned. Now that we're getting interviews, now we're getting pregame and postgame stuff. Now we're getting highlights on local television. The interest is there, and I think winning the Grey Cup helps. Sure as hell doesn't hurt. We want to pick it up. You're right. The podcast Slack. We, in fact, as we record this on Tuesday, we have an upcoming social media meeting where we're going to get together and plot out what we want to do this year. Not only with Aiden, but with Sean Bowen and myself and the written stuff and all of that. We want to get the ducks in a row early. I'd love to do another podcast, although with you, Chris, and with Ben Grant and the Argo fans, is there room for another one? We'll find out. Maybe I can provide something different. But I'd love to do another one of those. And I think it gives fans options, especially when they're in their car and they want to download something in Toronto traffic. They can listen to you one day, and then they can listen to Ben and
Yes.
JB another day, and then Argo fans another day, and me and whomever. Maybe I try to get Bonesy to do it. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe it's me and a player every week. We're going to discuss that. But would I like to get back and doing another podcast like I did with Nate and Jeff Johnson? Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to get Chris Belinovich on the show too, but I don't think he's an on-camera guy.
Are you kidding? He loves the spotlight. Look at him. All he does, he works out 23 hours a day. He's too good looking for this show. But yeah, I'm gonna actually, when we finish this, I'm gonna text him and say, you've been called out, buddy. People want to know what it is you do for a living, because I don't. So let's get him on the show and get to the bottom of this.
Absolutely. And hey, and what I love about my show too is I love getting the Argo guys on, like yourself and Ben Grant and stuff, but I also like getting guys around the CFL as well. I just feel like I want to have, as much as I love the Argos, I want to try to be objective and try to get as many people from around the league on my show as well, to make it a very diverse show too.
And don't forget, you don't have to go mainstream media. I mean, some of the podcasts across the league are really good.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure there's not a play-by-play guy on TSN or on radio that wouldn't do your show. Ask them. The Argos are playing Calgary. Hey, Mark Steven, you want to come on the show? Do it in a heartbeat. We all love doing it. We all love talking about the league because we love it so damn much. And the guys that work for the team, whether they work for the team, in my case, or work for a radio station and cover the team and get close to the team, they want to talk about that team because they've got stories to tell. So especially in my case, when I've got 15 seconds between plays to not only try to tell a story, but to set up Ben Grant as well. So I've got stories I love to tell them, and love promoting the team and the league, and especially this Argo brand.
Since I have you on here, Mike, Ben Grant's going to be back as the radio analyst for the Argos this year with you?
As far as I know, I haven't heard anything to the contrary. So if he pays me the $5,000 that he does every year in bribe money, he can do it again.
Oh, by the way, doing media work at the Argos, I did get to meet Matt Dunnigan, and I had Matt on my show before the Grey Cup too. And this is what I love about this league, man. Everybody really supports each other's work, and I'm very fortunate, and I just love coming back to the CFL, and I can't wait for training camp to start in May.
If you've seen the internet play before when you come down and you're covering the team, Chris, I mean, before every game, here's the MO. I get together with the visiting radio guy, and we talk about what our team's been up to, what their team's been up to, go over the pronunciation of names. The guys from TV will always come in. We're happy to share because, I want to have a great broadcast with Ben. I want RJ to have a great broadcast for Ticats fans. RJ and his cast of 75 people that they have on that radio program. Same thing with the guys, with Derek Taylor in Winnipeg, and everybody across the league. I want them to be great. They'll come on my show, or we'll go on theirs. Like we're just happy to share. Like we want the brand to do great, and I mean brand CFL, and a rising tide floats all ships, and we want the ships in all nine ports, so to speak, to be at high tide.
I'm hoping this year I can finally cover a Grey Cup in Winnipeg, and I'm looking forward to it. And Mike, I wanted to ask you this too: if the Argos can pull off another Grey Cup win in 2025, and let's say they do, and that's 3 and 4 years, is that a dynasty? Because everybody uses the word dynasty so often nowadays, but to me, I think it's winning 3 or more in a short period of time.
To me, there's been one dynasty in my lifetime, and it's Edmonton. 5 in a row. Is it 3 in a row? I don't know what the standard is anymore. People throw around the dynasty word too much, in my opinion, which kind of cheapens the meaning of the word to begin with. Were the Argos a dynasty when they won 3 in a row in the 40s? I don't know, because the regular seasons weren't that great. It was a team that got hot at the right time. 3 and 5 years or whatever it was in the 30s. Is that a dynasty? I don't know. The best team over a prolonged period of, since the Edmonton dynasty, you look at Calgary with several different quarterbacks, whether it be Flutie or Garcia or Henry or Dickinson or Bo. I mean, they played very great football for a long time. And then the Montreal era with Pop and Trestman and Anthony Calvillo and Cahoon and all of those guys, Pringle. Those are the best teams. We're starting to get there. Are we there yet? I don't think so. Would I like to be mentioned in the same breath as those teams? Yeah. Did Winnipeg, with no disrespect to them, but I think you have to win more than two. What they did, because you don't look at the Buffalo Bills were a great team.
Yes.
With Jim Kelly. They were a great team, but they didn't win. They didn't win multiple Grey Cup or Super Bowls. They didn't win 3 or 4. They weren't the Steelers of the 70s. They weren't the Packers of the 60s. Has the NFL had a dynasty? Kansas City's come close, but I don't know. Did Winnipeg come close? Yeah. If they had won 1 or 2 more of those Grey Cup games, yeah, absolutely. If they won all of them, then yeah. What do we have to do to be mentioned in the same breath? I don't know, but I know that Winnipeg, if they want to talk about a dynasty, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but we've won 3 in 7 years now, 7 Grey Cups. We've won 3 of the last 7. They won 3 of 29, or whatever it is, 30, 35, whatever, 35. Yeah, 3 of 35. So. I don't know. I think we're in rarefied air right now, and if we will be fortunate enough to win or get to another Grey Cup, I think we start getting mentioned with those great teams. But are we that Calgary run yet? No. Are we the Montreal run yet? No. Are we the Winnipeg run yet? No. But we're getting there.
Absolutely. And Mike, I just wanted quick thoughts. I know the Argos last year got hit hard with free agency, and again this year, but for the fans that are kind of worried about their free agency losses, just thoughts on some of the new additions to this team.
Yeah, there's been a major panic in Argo land. Let's start on the offense. Quarterbacks are back, all 3 of them, and we brought in another developmental quarterbacks. Running back room, Dan Adebayoye's gone, but Kevin Brown's in. We did lose Mackay Polk for now. We're all hoping for Mackay that he stays in the NFL. If he doesn't, we'd welcome him back with open arms. But we brought in new receivers. Jake Herslow came in. He played 3 games last year, had 2 touchdowns, including one in a playoff game. I'm curious to see what he can do should he win the job in camp. But Coates's back. Daniels is back. Unger is back. Brissett's back. Mattel's back. We signed Mayala. The offensive line, aside from right tackle, is back because when Cage was moved out of the lineup, Ryan Hunter moved outside, but we got Sage Dockstader in, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other guys coming back. So we should be fine. Offensively, we're fine. Defensively, do we take a hit? Yeah. Do we have the best? If you count Sam as a linebacker, I think we've got the best 1, 2, 3 punch in the league with McManus and Judge and Quincy Moget, who was hurt last year. He was our starter before that. We've got the starting cornerbacks back, McFadden. We got Franklin in. Blackburn is back. We brought in Bratton from Edmonton. There's another job. Who's going to win that? Milton's back from the Grey Cup run. He was fantastic last year. I think he forced 3 fumbles in the postseason last year. Defensive line is in flux, though, right? So we lost guys for obvious reasons. There were teams out there that spent a hell of a lot of money. And Ceresna wanted to go back to Edmonton, where his wife is, and where Demetrius Maxey, his mentor, is back as the defensive line coach. So I don't think there was anything we could do to bring Ceresna back. Robbie Smith got paid, right? So good for him. But we have Parrish coming back. We have Williams coming back. We brought in Brian Cox Jr. We brought in Anthony Lanier II. We've got that sort of second-tier rotational group coming back with Hansen, with Hergut, and we've got a bunch of guys coming in. We need 3 of those guys to be able to play in the rotation, and we'll be fine. And maybe even 2. So we'll find out what's there. There's a lot of experience coming in from the NFL, from college football, from the USFL, from the CFL. Let it play out. Don't forget, fans wanted to cut Benji Franklin 2 weeks into the season last year. And he turned out being maybe the superstar of anyone in the postseason for the Argos last year. So a little bit of patience. The season isn't won in June or July. Let the guys figure out who's going to play. But with this coaching staff, we'll be fine.
How important is it bringing back Wynton McManus, kind of the captain of this defense? And What is Cameron Judge's biggest strengths that he's going to bring to this Argos defense as linebacker?
I think with Wynn first, Wynn is the guy. We've got guys who can assume leadership roles, and maybe Tavares Daniels is that guy on the offense. But Wynn is the guy. I mean, he's so damn good on the field. He's also that inspirational guy. The guy doesn't shut up. And I mean that in the best possible way. He's always trying to fire up his teammates. So if you're in the middle of a game in August and it's you're tired and you're getting into the dog days, Wynn's going to be on your rear end in practice and in the game. He's just that constant ball of energy. He's also a savant. I mean, if you go to training camp this year and you watch him on the sideline, or you can do it at practice as well, when he's out taking a break, he's coaching from the sideline. He's yelling at guys, "What do you see? What do you see?" Like he's trying to get guys to think. And he's that guy. He's our leader. He's our spiritual leader. He's our guy. Cam Judge is dynamite. Not only does he bring a wealth of talent. I mean, he was Calgary's outstanding defensive player last year. I think he was their outstanding Canadian all 3 years after he went back. He's also got a score to settle because he didn't play like Cam Judge could when he was here 3 years ago. He was injured. He never really bounced back. And he didn't play like Cam Judge was expecting to play here, I don't think, or the way that fans were expecting him to play here. So he's got a burr on his saddle to show to Argo fans what he's all about. And he's an exceptionally talented player. And, with the trade of Varga, we got a guy who can give him a spell. Like Varga can go in there. If you want to move Wynn back outside and put Kassar in there. I mean, there are so many guys. Darkangelo played so well last year when he was in. He can play the middle. He can play Will. I mean, it's just a depth and just incredible depth and talented depth at the linebacker position.
How does the coaching staff look like? Is it most of the guys back from last year coaching?
Yeah, we'll have an announcement coming up soon. I think there's a couple of minor details to be worked out with contracts, but guys are in place, ready to go. It's a really good, experienced, veteran, likable, talented staff that's ready to fire it up and go back and repeat.
Finally, Mike, how can the audience who are interested in 2025 Argonauts season tickets contact the team? And again, why should fans come out back to BMO Field this summer?
Okay, the easiest part is to go to argonauts.ca. You want to watch the Argonauts, you go to their website, argonauts.ca. And in the upper left corner, you'll see this thing that says tickets. Click. And then when you go to tickets, I think it's the upper left corner again, season tickets 2025. Click, and you can pick your seat. And if you want to do it that way, that's fine. If you want to talk to an Argo rep, reach out to them. Somebody will pick up the phone, or reach out to me. Send me a direct message. I'll set you up with a ticket rep, and they can talk you through it. If your computer skills aren't where you wish they were, I'm at Twitter or Blue Sky, or just get me there at Mike Hogan Argos. Very easy to find, and I promise you I will get back to you and set you up that way. And why should people go? Because it's fun, it's affordable, you're supporting a Canadian product, you'll get to know some fantastic people, you'll be able to follow a bunch of team players who are very accessible, who want to talk to you after the game, who want to shake your hand and thank you for coming out. And you're going to become a part of a community that's very, very, very passionate about this football team and has a blast in the process, and might win another Grey Cup. Just saying.
By the way, I guess training camp too. What are your thoughts on coming back to Guelph, I believe, for the 4th straight year?
Guelph is fantastic. I mean, they set the bar high. Schools like Queens are now catching up with the infrastructure that they've done. And, I don't think it's a coincidence that Stu Lang has a connection to both programs. And he's been like an unbelievable benefactor to both programs. But, the meeting rooms are outstanding. The weight room and the facilities at Guelph are absolutely top notch. The facilities, the residences are right there. Like you don't have to go anywhere. The food is great. you can walk from the farthest residence to where the players stay on campus to the farthest place you have to walk, which is the hall where you have food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's a 5-minute walk. I mean, everything is so central, and the stadium is right smack dab in the middle of everything. It's a godsend, and it's close enough for Argo fans, especially those in the north and west ends of the city. For me in Whitby, it's a little tough, but to drive across town. But for people in the west end and for Argo fans in Guelph, in Kitchener-Waterloo, in Mississauga, it's easy to get to. Oakville, Burlington, those who have infiltrated Hamilton. Come on up. Our practices and during training camp are all open. We basically go from 9 o'clock till noon to 1 o'clock every day. Come on up and share in the fun. Take a look at what your 2025 Argos are going to look like.
And hopefully Chad Kelly will be ready for training camp, hopefully, preseason.
Yeah, everything we've heard indicates that he's going to be ready for training camp, which is good news. I haven't heard an update in a few weeks, but as of 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago, everything seemed ready to go.
And finally, Mike, where can my audience follow you on social media? And I want to say, Mike, thank you so much. I'm sorry I kept you over 30 minutes, but I want to say thank you so much for coming back on. And I'm already getting excited for training camp in May here.
Yeah, the bill will be in the mail for the extra time.
I'll give you some beer.
The easiest thing to do is at X, if you're still on X, at Mike Hogan Argos. I'm getting more involved with Blue Sky, and we're going to talk about the Argos getting the account there as well. But I will, if you have a DM me there, and I'll get back to you. I promise. I will get back to you if you have any questions or comments.
Any chance you'll go on TikTok as well at some point?
I don't know. I'm on IG as well. I don't use it as much as I should, but I know the Argos TikTok following is immense. So if you want to find out a lot about TikTok, we did exceptionally well with TikTok this year. I don't know if that's our number. I think it's our number one media outlet now, which shows we are skewing younger, which is great. That's the direction we want to go.
All right. Well, Mike, I want to say thank you so much again for coming on here today. And it's just great to talk to you about the Super Bowl champion Eagles, Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts, and really looking forward to the Canadian Football League coming back. And Mike, look forward to seeing you at the training camp at the University of Guelph in just 8 weeks time now, maybe 9 weeks.
For the extra time, I will expect some beer from Wellington, and I will expect a car from Cullen. Just saying.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. But Mike, I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Bell. Keep up the good work.
Mike.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike. You too. Go Argos. All right, guys, that concludes season 10, episode 1, overall 496 of Live with CDP Sports Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership and Wellington Brewery here in Guelph. And since this is an Argo show today, I'm just going to play a little clip. This clip is courtesy of CTV News Channel, and it just shows the Argos Grey Cup win over Winnipeg again last year at BC Place.
Tomorrow in the downtown core. So, of course, the players are celebrating. They're on their way back to the city for more celebration with fans tomorrow. So let's talk about the game. And the player of the game, very unlikely moment for Nick Arbuckle, the 31-year-old journeyman who's played for several CFL teams and what a short CFL career, had 2 touchdown passes and won the game MVP honors. For a player who was the backup just last week and claims he was ready to retire from the game of football before joining the Toronto Argonauts, he was forced into action after the Argos lost their starting quarterback Chad Kelly to a broken ankle in the East Final. So a 41-24 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It really was a lot closer for most of the game than the final score might show you. Toronto rallied late in the game, but really gave fans in Vancouver quite a lot of celebration. It was quite a game back and forth for quite a while before the Argonauts pulled ahead with that 41-24 win. And as you mentioned, Marcia, 19th Grey Cup victory overall for the Argos, most in CFL history. Toronto has won 8 straight Grey Cups they've played in, dating back to 1991. And here's a stat that really shows you maybe they have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers number there, 8-0 all time in the big game, Marcia. against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And they were playing the Bombers in their 5th straight Grey Cup. They won the first 2 they played in, but they've now lost the last 3 Grey Cups. 2 of them have been up against Toronto.
All right, so that was the game. But we also, Scott, had Prince Harry and the Jones.
That clip was courtesy of CTV News Channel. And again, the Toronto Argonauts won their 19th Grey Cup championship over Winnipeg this past November at BC Place. And the Argonauts this year in 2025 are going to be going for their 20th Grey Cup. And you can get tickets at argonauts.ca and click on tickets. And Mike Hogan, I want to say thank you to Mike Hogan, the longtime play-by-play announcer for the Toronto Argonauts on TSN 1050 since 2010, I believe. He's also their manager of communications as well. So please follow Mike Hogan on Twitter, Blue Sky, and the Toronto Argonauts are on all social media platforms, including TikTok and all the other ones. And also, I'm on Blue Sky too. I live with CDP 19 on Blue Sky as well. Before we wrap up today's show, guys, the next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again brought to you by BarryCullen.com and WellingtonBrewery.ca, is going to be on Wednesday, February 19th, tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Saskia B. She is a stand-up comedian out of the state of Arizona. So we're going to talk to Saskia about her comedy career and how she started up and some of her upcoming performances. So if you're a fan of comedians and comics, please check out Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show tomorrow, Wednesday, February 19th at 12 p.m. with my special guest, Saskia B., comedian. And then I have another stand-up comedian on my show Thursday, February 20th at 7:30. Her name is Davine Kerr. She is a trilingual stand-up comedian based out of Washington, D.C. She's originally from Montreal. So my next 2 shows, I'm going to have some female stand-up comedians on here as well. Before we wrap up our show, guys, like every show, you guys can follow me again on Blue Sky. I live with CDP 19 on bluesky.ca. And also, as we do for every show, Wellington Brewery, founded in 1985, is located at 950 Woodlawn Road West in Guelph, Ontario. Check out their website, wellingtonbrewery.ca. Telephone number 519-837-2337. Try Wellion and please drink responsibly. First brewed way back in 1986, this legendary British-style strong ale is an all-time favorite that we bring back every winter. To celebrate 40 years of Wellington Brewery, proudly Canadian, we are re-releasing Iron Duke in special vintage packaging, just like you remember it, with a robust malt character showcasing notes of toffee, caramel, and raisin. Iron Duke remains a classic winter warmer. You can find this beloved brew on our online store with local and provincial-wide shipping available, wellingtonbrewery.ca, or pop into our retail store at 950 Woodlawn Road West here in Guelph and come say hi and mention Chris Pomay sent you as well. And Wellington Brewery is again celebrating their 40th year, and they have been a sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show since November of 2024. And a special shout out to Jackie Hanna, who's their social media manager. She is the manager of social media with Wellington Brewery. So if you like good local craft beer, check out Wellington Brewery. Their 40th year, and they're also proudly Canadian as well. And I want to say thank you for being a part of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show and the official beer sponsor as well. All right. Also, if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722, extension 0, or visit their website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption there, their profiles are on cambridgehumanesociety.org, and they're also still selling 2025 Cambridge District Humane Society calendars. You can purchase ones through their website for $10, and they're also doing a raffle draw, I believe now every 3 months or quarterly, and you can get tickets through their website and click on events as well. And if you're looking to volunteer at the Cambridge District Humane Society as a volunteer dog walker like I am, you can fill out a volunteer form through CambridgeHumaneSociety.org. And I've been with them now for 1 year, and they do a great job in getting our furry friends adopted into the forever homes and forever families as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. And please remember to hit follow as well. The one thing I forgot to ask Mike Hogan, I forgot to bring this up, but one of the Toronto Argonauts quarterbacks from their past, from 1966 to 1969 and 1972, Wally Gabler, passed away recently at the age of 80. So deepest sympathies and condolences to Wally Gabler's family and friends, and of course the Toronto Argonauts, who he was a big part of from 1966 to 1969 into 1972. All right, guys. Also, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is also sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac products. And you can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, it is winter time, and we are getting a ton of snow here in Southern Ontario. And at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, right now, you can save the tax on winter tires now. A winter tire clearance is on at Barry Cullen Chevrolet until February 28th. You only have 10 days left. You can save 13% when you purchase 4 identical in-stock winter tires and ride out the rest of the winter season with a peace of mind. More details at barrycullen.com. You can also follow this content creator on TikTok at Live with CDP. I lost my other TikTok page, long story there. So if you're looking to find me, I am back on TikTok, a new account. You can type in at Live with CDP or Chris Pomay. Just actually type in at Chris Pomay or Live with CDP, and please remember to follow. I'm trying to get back to 1,000 followers so I can do lives again. Unfortunately, yeah, I lost my page. So I am back on TikTok. If you like to check out my content, I've got more coming on TikTok as well, and also Blue Sky as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com, and they do have business plans as well. You can do StreamYard.com and contact your sales department as well. And I've been with StreamYard now for 4+ years. I highly recommend StreamYard for live streaming. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the audio versions on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Please subscribe. Please follow me on these audio platforms as well. Finally, you guys can email the show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, at cpomay19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And I'm also on PayPal. If you guys would like to contribute to my radio and media work, I'm on PayPal, cpomay19@gmail.com on PayPal. And also, I am a part of the Cameo family. If you'd like a personalized video from yours truly, CDP, check out cameo.com and type in Chris Pomay and book your Cameo today as well. And that is about it for season 10, episode 1 today. And I want to say thank you to my guest, Mike Hogan, the manager of communications for the 19-time Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts and the longtime radio play-by-play voice of the Toronto Argonauts on TSN 1050, along with color analyst Ben Grant. And the Argonauts will open up the regular season this year, Friday, June 6th at the Montreal Alouettes. And the Toronto Argonauts Grey Cup celebration and home opener will be on Saturday, June 14th at 4 p.m. against the Calgary Stampeders, and you can get tickets at argonauts.ca, and also check out the Canadian Football League website, cfl.ca, argonauts.ca, and the Argos will be back at the University of Guelph in May for training camp, and they will have one preseason game here at Alumni Stadium at University of Guelph, I believe Friday, May 30th at 7 o'clock, when the QEW rivals, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, take on the Boatmen here at the University of Guelph as well. Oh, one thing too before we wrap this show up, guys, at Wellington Brewery right now, check out their new beer. It's called West Coast IPA beer, and it is at Wellington Brewery. You can pop by the retail store again at 950 Woodlawn Road West here in Guelph, Ontario, or check out their website, wellingtonbrewery.ca. West Coast IPA for those people that like the stronger IPA type beers as well. And that is about it, guys. Again, I want to say thank you to Mike Hogan for coming on here today, and please follow him on Twitter, X, and he's on Blue Sky as well. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this show today. Chris Bird, thank you for watching, for the great questions. Robbie, thank you for watching, and thank you everyone for watching, and to those listening this on audio as well, and Stream Punk Entertainment as well. This show will air hopefully this weekend as well. Special shout out to Scott Churchin as well. So that's about it. So again, the next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet and Wellington Brewery here in Guelph. Wednesday, February 19th, which is tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, again with special guest stand-up comedian Siskia, I got it. Siskia B, a comedian out of Arizona. And then Thursday, February 20th, 7:30, Devine Kerr will be on as well. So the next two shows, we're going to be talking about stand-up comedy and the comedy industry as well. I hope everybody has a great night. Stay warm here in Southern Ontario or wherever you're watching from. And we'll see you back tomorrow for season 10, episode 2 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. Have a great afternoon, everybody.